Hi, this is Ankreshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology. In this session, we will talk about understanding how objects are constructed or initialized, and after their use, how they are destructed or de-initialized. These are all the things that we are going to discuss in this today's session. First, what is meant by a constructor? A constructor is a special member function whose task is to initialize the objects of its class. It is a special because its name is same as the class name. The constructor is invoked whenever an object of its associated class is created. It is called constructor because it constructs the values of data members of the class. So this is about a constructor. The constructor that will be different from the normal function in the following ways. A constructor has the same name as the class itself. Constructor don't have the return type, and the constructor is automatically invoked when the object is created. If we do not specify a constructor, the C++ compiler generates a default constructor for us. So it expects no parameters and has an empty body. So consider this example. In this example, we have a constructor called add, which is declared same as the class name. When a class contains a constructor, it is guaranteed that an object created by the class will be initialized automatically. We don't need to create the object separate like add a. Constructor can be defined either that will be in the inside of the class definition, or it may be in the outside the class definition using the class name and the scope resolution operator, that is double colon. So now it will not only create the object of a type add, but also initialize its data members m and n to 0. Next, here we have some of the characteristics of a constructor. Let us see. The constructor, they should be declared in the public section, and they are invoked automatically when the objects are declared. The constructor do not have return types, not even void, and they cannot return values. So the constructor, they cannot be inherited through a derived class. It can call the base class constructor. Like C++ other functions, constructor can have default arguments. Constructors cannot be a virtual one. We cannot refer to their addresses. So the object with a constructor, or it may be a destructor, that cannot be used as a member of a union. So they make implicit calls to the operators new and delete when memory allocation is required. These are all the characteristics of a constructor. The second method, you go to a shop and say, I want a marker, a red in color, and XYZ is a brand. So you are mentioning this and he will give you that marker. So in this case, you have given the parameters, and this is what is parameterized constructor. The third one, you go to the shop and say, I want a marker like this. Uh, Also a physical marker on your hand. So the shopkeeper will see that marker, okay, and he will give a new marker for you. So copy of that marker, and that is what copy constructor is. Let us see one by one. The first default constructor. The constructor that accepts no parameter is called the default constructor. The default constructor is a constructor which doesn't take any argument. It has no parameters. If a normal member function is defined for zero initialization, we would need to invoke this function for each of the objects separately. There is no need to write any statement to invoke the constructor function. So Here you have to notice that even if you don't define any constructor explicitly, the compiler will automatically provide a default constructor implicitly. Let us consider this example. In this example, we have a constructor called wall, which is same as the class name. Here, when the wall object is created, wall1, that is wall1 is an object. When the wall1 object is created, it automatically the wall constructor is called. This sets the length variable of the object to 5.5. Here you have to note that if we have not defined a constructor in our class, then the C++ compiler will automatically create a default constructor with an empty code and no parameters. So, next one is a parameterized constructor. These are the constructor with a parameter. Using this constructor, you can provide different values to a data member of different objects by passing the appropriate value as an argument. It may necessary to initialize the various data elements of a different objects with different values when they are created. This is achieved by passing argument to the constructor function when the objects are created. These constructors that can take arguments are called, that is known as parameterized constructor. Look at the example for parameterized constructor. When the constructor is parameterized, we must pass the initial value as argument to the constructor function when an object is declared. We can call the constructor in two ways. The first one is explicit. To call explicitly, we have the statement that is called add sum equal to add parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, we are having the value that is 2, 3. To call implicitly, we have the statement called add sum. Inside the parenthesis, we are having the 2 and 3. This is a shortened method. So, when the constructor is parameterized, we must pass the initial values as argument to the constructor function when the object is declared. So here we are passing that argument to the constructor. So this constructor is called a parameterized constructor. Next one is a copy constructor. The copy constructor is used to declare and initialize an object from another object. The copy constructor in C++ is used to copy data of one object to another object. Here we have an example for this, that is integer. Inside the parenthesis, we are having the integer, again integer, and then ampersand I. It means that we are passing an object to that, we are initializing an object from another object. This is an example for a copy constructor. So next one is integer I2. Inside the parenthesis, I am having I1, or we can initialize by using integer I2 equal to I1. This process of initializing through a copy constructor is known as a copy initialization. So next one. Here we have a reference variable that has been used as an argument to the copy constructor. We cannot pass the argument by a value to a copy constructor. So these are all the two criteria that should be followed in a copy constructor. Next we will see about when the copy constructor is called. In C++, the copy constructor may be called in the following cases. When the object of the class is returned by value, when the object of the class is passed by value as an argument, when an object is a constructor based on another object of the same class, when the compiler generates a temporary object. In these cases, the copy constructor that may be called. Next, we will see about the constructor overloading in C++. Like any other method in C++, the constructor can also be overloaded. We will see constructor overloading with the help of examples. Before we proceed further, let us understand what is constructor overloading and why we do it. The constructor overloading is a concept of having more than one constructor with different parameter list in such a way so that each constructor performs a different task. For example, add class has two types of arguments. Here we have a add class and it has two types of constructors. If you do not want to specify the initial value, then you can simply use the default constructor of add. Inside the parenthesis, I am having nothing, that is no arguments. However, if you need to specify the values, then you call the parameterized constructor of add class with a two integer argument like this. Here I am having add constructor with two integer arguments, that is inside the parenthesis I am having int comma int. So I am passing the two parameter to this constructor, so it is called the parameterized constructor. Next, like any other C++ group of functions, the constructor can be overloaded, which means that a class can have more than one constructor because necessarily being a constructor, it has the same name as the class name. So, if I want to write two constructors, they will necessarily have the same name, but is permitted to do so as long as they differed in number of parameters or types of parameters and so on. All rules of function overloading, as we learned, will apply exactly in the same way in terms of overloaded constructor. So, here we are showing the three constructors of add class, which takes two integer arguments as parameters a and b both. One which takes one object as an argument and one which takes nothing. So the first constructor receives no arguments, that is add. Inside the parenthesis I am having no argument, and the next constructor receives two integer arguments, that is a and b, and the third constructor receives one add object as an argument. So this is an example for a constructor overloading. And we are using these parameters in terms of the three possible information of the number of parameters deciding which parameter of for which particular form of the constructor that will get invoked. For example, add a1 would automatically invoke the first constructor and set both m and n of a1 to 0. If we look at this instantiation of A2, that is, when A2 will get the instantiated, then naturally this constructor, which has two parameters that will initialize the data members of m and n of A2 to 10 and 20 respectively. So it will automatically, that will invoke. And the A3 that would invoke the third constructor, which copies the values of A2 into A3. This type of constructor is called the copy constructor. So all rules of overloaded constructor apply in this case. More than one constructor function is defined in a class. This is called constructor overloading. In this way, constructors can be overloaded and we can write construction process in terms of variety of different parameters and their combinations and so on. And as we go forward, we will see another example of how overloaded construction becomes important for writing very effective construction mechanism for the different classes that we build. Complex class has three types of arguments. Here we have a complex class. In this class, inside the class, we have three types of arguments. The complex, the first constructor, that is a default constructor, the complex with empty argument list, and it contains the empty body and does not do nothing. So inside the curly braces, we doesn't have any statement. So it is an empty body. It is an empty body. Next, if you don't want to specify initial value, then you can simply use the default constructor complex class, like complex C equal to new complex. So the complex first one constructor is a default constructor. It has a empty argument list and it has a empty body. So it doesn't do anything. So this is used to create an object without any initial value. So C++ compiler has an implicit constructor which creates object even though it was not defined in the class. This works as well as long as we do not use any other constructor in a class. However, once we define a constructor, we must also define the do nothing implicit constructor. Next one is a constructor with a default argument. For example, if you look at this instantiation of C1, when C1 will gets instantiated, then naturally this constructor which has one parameter, that is 5.0, that will get invoked. Whereas if C2, when C2 is being instantiated, when the constructor having two parameters, that is 2.0 and then 3.0, that will get invoked. So all the rules of overloaded constructor that will apply in this case. Next one is the dynamic initialization of objects. The dynamic initialization of object that refers to initializing the objects at runtime. So the initial value of an object is to be provided during runtime. The dynamic initialization, which can be achieved using constructors and passing parameters values to these constructors. The dynamic initialization of object that will be useful when we can provide various initialization formats and we are using overloaded constructors. This provides the flexibility of using different format of data at runtime that will depend upon this situation. Next, we will see about the dynamic constructor. When allocation of memory is done dynamically using the dynamic memory allocator that is new in a constructor, it is known as a dynamic constructor. By using this, we can dynamically initialize the object. The constructor can also be used to allocate memory while creating objects. This will enable the system to allocate the right amount of memory for each object when the objects are not of the same size. The allocation of memory to object at the time of their construction is known as the dynamic construction of objects. This memory is created with the help of the new operator. Next, we will see about the destructor. I hope you will understand about constructor in C++. The next topic is destructors. So the destructor is used to destroy the objects that have been created by a constructor. Like constructor, the destructor is a member function whose name is the same as the class name, but it is preceded by the tilde symbol. So the like the constructor, the destructor is a member function whose name is same as the class name, but before the constructor name we are having the tilde symbol. So this is known as a destructor. So here we have an example for this: till and then integer. Integer is the constructor name and it is also a class name also. So tilde, integer, inside the parenthesis I am having nothing, so this is an empty argument list, and I am having the inside the curly braces I am having empty body. So a constructor that never takes any argument nor doesn't return any value. So it will be invoked implicitly by the compiler upon exit from the program or block or function as the case may be, to clean up the storage that is no longer accessible. It is a good practice to declare destructor in a program since it releases memory space for further use. So it is a good practice to declare destructors in a program. Whenever you are having the constructor means you should declare a constructor in a program. It is a good practice. So it releases the memory space for further use in our program. Whenever you use the new operator, that will be used to allocate memory in the constructor. In the same way, we should use the delete operator to delete the constructor, and it will be used to free that memory that will be occupied by that particular constructor. So the constructor is used to destroy the object that have been created by a constructor by using the tilde symbol. So remember that the constructor never takes any argument nor does it return any value that will be invoked implicitly by the compiler upon exit from the program or block or function as the case may be. It will be useful, mostly useful to clean up the storage that is no longer accessible. It is a good practice. Whenever you are having the constructor in your program means you should have the destructor in your program. It is a good practice, so that only it will release the memory space for further use in our program. When for the constructor, the new operator allocate memory in the constructor. Also, we use the delete operator that will be used to free that memory that will occupied by the constructor. So, this is about a destructor in C++. So, hope you all understand about the constructor and then types of constructor and then destructor in C++. Thank you.